Nothing's getting foggy tonight, but we just getting started. So physical and flawless unite, and we just wanna stay here. It's obvious, it's all clear now. I know what I'm in for, so baby keep it going. I don't mind. We dance like nobody's watching. Dance like nobody's watching.
Hello. It's your friend Kevin, and we are still on our journey of 12 commitments to change. And let me put them back up for you. Commitments for change. Seek the truth. Be willing to come apart. Step out of your comfort zone. Commit to growth. Shift your vision. Drop what you know, relax with what is, remove the rocks, don't rush the process. And today, number 10, be true to yourself. So here we go with that one. Be true to yourself, and what exactly does that mean? Well, it's interesting because, there's biblical stories that apparently God spoke to Noah, and Noah was guided to build an ark, and of course all his fellow people thought he was crazy, nuts, laughed at him. And the part about that story that is a bit weird for me is that supposedly Noah was already 500 years old when he got this information from God. And I think at some point or another I might find that quite incredulous, based on the fact that the average individual lives to probably about 80 to 90 years old in modern times. So anyway, I digress. I'm going to read a passage. Well, by the way, this series of 12 commitments for change was inspired by Baron Baptiste's 40 Days to Personal Revolution, which is a yoga-based program set up through his institute and the various affiliate yoga studios. And I felt like it was a really good thing to put in place to explain why perhaps some of us make intentional resolutions at the beginning of the year, and somehow within the first week, 2, 3, we go right back into the comfort zone. And getting out of the comfort zone is one of the laws to change that comfort zone that sucks us back into misery. So I want to read something that he wrote on this subject, and it was what Gandhi said about truth. What then is truth? A difficult question, but I have solved it for myself by saying, it is what the voice within tells you. How then, you ask, do different people think differently and contrary truths? It is because we have, at the present moment, everybody claiming the right of conscience without going through any discipline whatsoever, that there is so much untruth being delivered to the bewildered world. All that I can in true humility present to you is the truth is not to be found by anybody who has not got an abundant sense of humility. If you would swim on the bosom of the ocean of truth, you must reduce yourself to a zero. If you would swim on the bosom of the ocean of truth, you must reduce yourself to a zero. So I find that to be quite an interesting concept. Many of us have come to learn that when we live in alignment with what we believe our truth is, life sort of goes along nicely. But then what is our truth? What is somebody else's truth? What is somebody else's truth? What is somebody else's truth? And the idea of the ego is really to convince us of what is not true, to stop us from exploring different truths. And the idea of our ancestors that also came here seeking whatever truth they wanted to seek, governed by their ancestors and their ancestors before them, and this traditional way of thinking, believing, truth saying, go back, the lineage goes back and back and back and back and back. So as we come into physical form, it is no accident that we start to somewhat adopt the legacies of our families and those that we believe are telling the truth. Because let's face it, the innocence of a child is to somewhat believe or somewhat line up with what we see and what we think. And yet the child doesn't necessarily have the maturity of mind or the experience of life to tell the difference between when somebody is telling them lies and when somebody is telling them the truth. And let's face it, many people have been known to manipulate the truth in order to create an existence that they themselves would like to have. How many of us can put hand on heart and hand up and say, listen, we've bent the truth, maybe expanded the truth, elaborated the truth, or even told a complete lie in order to make the outcome become aligned with what we would like to have happen. I'll use these classic clichéic examples. The check is in the mail, which was a nice 1970s, 80s way of saying I've got no money in the bank. When we look at resumes, in Europe they call them CVs, how long we were at this job. Well, if there was a gap in employment, you're going to fudge those numbers. When we apply for mortgage loans, there's this thing that I've got to somehow be able to qualify for this, which means my income has to be a certain amount. So we fudge and fiddle and faff about with those numbers. Now, to some, this might be considered abhorrent, dishonest, and not the best way to move forward. To others, it may just be a way of life. So the line gets dropped when it comes to seeking the actual truth about certain situations. The one thing that's missing in all of it is the lack of humility. We have to learn to be humble. Let's see, what else can I say about that? We learn that in order to follow our inner compass and be true to ourselves, we have to be willing to go against the status quo. That means that when we discover a truth in our silence of our heart, when we begin to uncover some of the missteps we've made up to the point of discovering those missteps, we sort of have to change our approach from that point forward. That's really revelations. That's where we reveal the fact that living a life that is not based upon our truth, being in humility, being humble to our roots and being grateful and living in that lovely light space. We have to reveal some of the things that perhaps we have not done and we did not do. I've done that. It is all part of growing. It's all part of not so much growing bigger, greater, becoming more than, but maybe remembering that we started off with the innocence of infancy, and our journey in this physical embodiment was to discover things lined up with that great feeling, those good experiences. And ultimately, if you study the angelic realm, all the angelic realm wants for all of us is that blissful, peaceful, loving, kind, amazing way of being. And for that light, for that joy, for that peace, for that perfect alignment to spread to our fellow humans on the planet. Some of us think it's not enough to work for a bank. They want to be not just an assistant vice president, but of this and but of that, and but of this and but of that, and but of this and but of that. Several years ago, when I was in corporate America, I was fooled into thinking that the way to get noticed, heard, seen was to be somebody and slap a bougie title on top of a business card that meant that you were somebody special. And very quickly I realized that's ego talking. And very quickly that whole persona was literally crumbled to zero in one meeting, in one afternoon. At the time, very tough pill to swallow. Rather quickly, a revelation that I truly was miserable trying to keep up with this persona that I thought I was, and going completely against the grain. I didn't like it. Didn't like my behavior. Didn't like my way of being. And the universe found a way to line me back up on the right track. I never forgot it. I didn't shy away from it. I admitted it. Took a while, but I did. And so far, I have done my best not to return to that. Now, are there times in my life now where when I come up against the truth, and this is where it gets difficult for all of us on a physical level, especially right now with these opposing opinions about what we do. Everyone has an opinion about what other people should do, and that's got to stop. At least it has to stop within. If we ride, as Gandhi said, on the bosom of life with the truth and humility in our heart, reduce ourselves to really just being that humble servant of the earth, of heaven, of life, of peace, of harmony. If we just find that humility within our heart, then everything just becomes this bonus. Yet, there is always going to be contrasting situations that come up. Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks calls it the contrast. There will always be contrasts. There will always be differences. There will always be things that bump up against us. And there will be other people's truth that doesn't necessarily align with what we believe in our heart to be true. So how do you be true to yourself? Immanuel Kant said, the death of dogma is the birth of reality. And the reality is, number one, I believe, don't expect you to, I deserve to be happy and content. You can agree or not agree. I deserve to live a full, adventurous life. You can agree or not agree. I deserve to be taken care of, sustained for my giving and my loving and my caring and my joy. I deserve to be joyful. I deserve to be happy. I deserve to be abundant. I deserve to be rich in opportunity, rich in experience, rich in curiosity, rich in choice. And I am all those things. Do I deserve to be right? Well, right and wrong, those are the contrasts. Do I deserve to be treated respectfully by other people? That's, again, a contrast. Do I deserve to be heard? Again, it's a contrast. These are the contrasts. The parts where we have this expectation of ourselves that involve other people's opinion of us, other people's way of treating us, other people's way of going about their business. So I'll land this for you before we get to the cards. I've recently pondered a situation that's going on with me personally. Contracted to have solar panels put on my roof. They arrived 2 days before they were scheduled to put them up. I rearranged my schedule, let them do it. Then there was a series of inspections that needed to happen. The inspections were scheduled on a day certain. I carved out the entire day. Nobody showed up. The next day, nobody showed up. I'm calling the inspection department of the city of Charlotte, and I'm also calling the installers of this bunch of equipment. Oh yes, if they can't get to you one day, they'll move you to the next day. If they can't get to you to that day, they'll move you to the next day. Finally, 3 days later, I get a phone call. They're on their way to your house. I'm in the middle of doing something. Somebody's hair, as a matter of fact. I can't just drop everything, stop everything, and just go home. That's not possible. So it was marked as being nobody home. The man was in my driveway when I got home. He came in, did what he needed to do, and left. So that got corrected. Well, then there was another inspection that needed to have happen. Somebody's calling my phone saying they're looking over the fence and the dogs are trying to get at them. Is there anybody going to be home, and can they go into the yard? No, you cannot, not with the dogs running around out there. They left caution tape, told me to take pictures of all this and send it to this cell phone number. I did it. I complied. Then another email saying there's another inspection coming on the whatever day it was. I stayed home all day. Nobody arrived. I'm calling the inspections office, get told the same thing I got told the first time. You can set a day and a time possible. I go back to the installers. You're on hold for customer care for, I think it was like 36 minutes. I get somebody on the telephone who tell me, well, their system tells them this and that and the other thing. Whoever put the information in, whoever entered the information on that system, failed to enter all the information. They just entered what they needed to enter. Now, I don't know what kind of system they use. I don't know kind of what boxes they go into. I don't know what data entry they're up against. And I don't know if they really care what they're putting in, or whether they just decide to put in whatever they feel like. At some point in this entire process, there has been the people that want the money for me to pay them, the people that sold me the system to begin with, and the people that installed the system. All three, plus all the county and city people. Oh, and the utility company. So there's already 5 groups of people that are doing this. Every single one of them are telling a different truth. Every single one of them are coming from a different angle. So what does somebody do when they're facing that frustrating place of what do you do? Go to, for me, this is what I'm doing, going to the space of the heart, looking at spirit, who, let's face it, created the sun that's going to power these panels on the roof. So hello, great creator in the sky, great masterful of the universe, great master of the sun. This is my situation. I'm going to give it up to you. I'm going to give it up to you, give it over to you. My truth is this. I've got equipment on my roof that's no longer working. Your truth is to make sure all these people line up so it does work. And to let the people who want the money for the system that doesn't work know you'll get paid when the system works. I think that's fair. That to me feels like truth. And we go on from that. Nobody needs to get upset. Nobody needs to get pissed off. You tell me when you're going to be here and I'll be here. But if you tell me when you're going to be here and you don't show up, then what do you expect me to do? It's annoying. It's frustrating. But at some point, when we come against these contrasts, we have to find that alignment. We have to go back down to the humility of zero and let that all be. Find a way to align yourself up with fun, with something upbeat, distract all of the blech, and go into something that's a little bit more alignment with what you believe in, what you feel is right for you. It isn't ignoring the problem. It is you've exhausted all avenues you can think of exhausting, and now you let it go. And literally let it go. At some point, there will be a resolution to all of it. It doesn't have to be the way everybody wants it to be. And I think that's where we come up against these these battering rams, these contrasts where people want it to be a certain way, and they're going to manipulate whatever they can to get it that certain way. You do not have to be part of anyone else's manipulation, and saying that, you do not get to manipulate and should not manipulate. If you know that you're doing things, saying things, creating a situation in order to alter what's happening, and you know what you're doing is going to alter what's happening, you're part of manipulation. And trust me, my friends, I love you, but manipulation is going to come back and slap you, bap you, and push you into next week as quickly as you think it will. The best thing to do with contrasting situations when you're dealing with seeking the truth is to go to zero and become what they call a sannyasin. A sannyasin is someone who seeks the truth from within their heart and goes out. Socrates was a sannyasin. Jesus was a sannyasin. Gandhi was a sannyasin. These are folks who go seeking the enlightenment, seeking the truth, seeking the way forward. They give up this struggle. They give up this fight. They give up all of these odd truths and these falsehoods to follow the bliss of life. That's seeking the truth. All right, my friends, I think that got it. We are on number 10. We've got 2 more to go of our commitments for change. And then I'm going to be thinking about ways to create another series that I feel will be beneficial to folks. Not trying to, so I would say, oh, here's one that fell out. I'm not sure what that would be in order to continue this growth spurt, in order to keep going with it. Anyway, I've shuffled the cards this morning. Let's look at what they are. And I'm using a different deck today. I usually use Angel Card Oracle, still using Kyle Gray's deck. But this is Keepers of the Light. Whoop, there we go. With illustrations by Lily Moses. So what is the difference with these decks? Well, Angel Card Oracle, which I've been using throughout these 10 commitments, they're general. They're lovely oracle. They've got light-hearted messages. The Keepers of the Light is more in alignment with folks who want to follow more of a spiritual path. For me in particularly, I like to know sometimes what my guides are, who my guides are, who's here today. Not necessarily my own personal guides, but who's guiding this message, who's guiding us throughout the day. So let's see who this is. Oh, Hilarion. And Hilarian's message for all of, look at that gorgeous green outfit and that beautiful green emerald heart. That's where the truth lives, right in that heart. And for me, the green is about growth. Green is about spring. Green is about action. Green is about prosperity. Green is about, you know, the Irish green. But anyway, Hilarion, we'll read in a minute who Hilarion is. But honor your sensitivity and retreat to recharge and heal. The light that's inside can support everybody else. So there, right there, is lining up with seeking the truth. Seeking the truth of where is your light? Where is it? And where do you feel light? Where do you feel lifted? Where do you feel, actually, it's the truth is be true to yourself. It's more not seeking the truth, but be true to what you believe in. Be true to your own convictions. So let's see where Hilarion falls in this guidebook. Hilarion is a spiritual master who lived in the Middle East during the 4th century, and at the age of 15 he felt the call to go to the retreat of St. Anthony in the Egyptian desert. This was busy with people needing healing, so after a while he went back home with the monks, and during that time his parents passed away, and it's said that Hilarion was so devoted to service he gave all of their estate to his brothers and the poor. And for the rest of his life, he lived as a hermit in a cave, and he was said to perform miracles with his prayers and his touch. So to this day, He is dedicated to healing, but he also helps spiritual people who feel overly sensitive to overcome their challenges and to integrate with the normal world. The extended message from Hilarion is that the world can seem overwhelming and it's okay to retreat to a safe space every now and then to cleanse and recharge your energy. You may feel called to serve others or share your healing with them. But please ensure you are filled up with light, love, energy first, so that you are not sacrificing your own development for other people. You are surrounded by the healing light of Hilarion and the healing angels at this time, so that you can recharge and feel whole. So if I weren't on this video and I weren't doing this message to you, what would that say to me personally, and how would that apply to my own situation? Really, the one affirmation that comes, and I've got it from up here, which is on my left side, you're seeing it from the right side, it's where we receive information, or at least where I receive information. Let go and let love is what they're saying, rather than me stepping into the muck and the mire of argumentation, because that I can feel just makes me even more annoyed. It is to retreat to love. That is to clean out closets. That is to find loving, kind, caring people who get me. And let the love and the light that I got within me grow even greater, even bigger, and know that somewhere along this whole process of life and whatever that is we're dealing with, come forward. Now, before I let you go, there are many YouTube videos. I've posted some on my Facebook page that talk about the planets and this big division. The big division that when we go into truth, we follow spirituality, when we follow our own inner guidance, we can be lifted up far and beyond what's going on. We can be lifted past the fray of fractious energy. And if we are part of that fractious energy, we're going to be in the turning and the churning and the, oh goodness, all of that. Sometimes I feel like folks who feel like they're on pause, they've been held in this vacuum of the craziness going on around them, not really sure how to land it. Just keep moving along. For me personally, I look at how great the universe is and how at any given moment, really truly great people, really people who have contributed to my life, contributed to the lives of others, contributed to entertainment, contributed to sports, broadcasting, literacy, all of those things have in one instance passed. My mind is brought to, at the end of New Year's Eve, it was Betty White. A week later, Bob Saget. We've lost some great iconic personalities that we've grown up with, that we've seen on our TVs, that have expanded a place within our hearts. Oh, and I've got goosebumps. So those spirits they've safely traveled where they're going. The point I'm making is, bring that love, bring that light, bring that peace, bring that element of joy into everything you do. It is not saying that you need to be apathetic to what's happening, but if you cannot really make a difference for the better, to line up with your truth, and this being, let's see what it says, being true to yourself, and that's not, being true to yourself is that it's coming down to brass tacks. It's getting humble with what that looks like, and being okay with whatever contrast comes up. All right, before I go babbling on, I want to wish you all the very best. Until the next time, stay well, stay grounded, and be true to yourself. Bye.